Welcome to the Department of Transportation and Public Facilities virtual public meeting and pre-recorded presentation about the Egan-Yandukin Intersection Improvements Project. The Egan-Yandukin intersection is a critical link for the Juneau community, providing the only connection between Mendenhall Valley, the Lemon Creek area, and downtown Juneau. In response to public safety and connectivity concerns at the intersection, the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities is working on ways to make improvements for the transportation users. The Egan-Yandukin project process includes data collection, engaging the community, and generating and screening a wide range of potential intersection improvement options. 2020 work to date has developed draft alternatives, draft evaluation criteria, and early draft evaluation results. Next, the project team will use public feedback on these to refine the design of the alternatives and finish analyzing their impacts. In early 2021, DOT and PF will present recommended alternatives for the intersection. By spring 2021, all of the analysis will be documented and available for public comment. The design and construction of any resulting project would need to be funded through the statewide Transportation Improvement Plan. In response to the immediate need to improve driving safety at the intersection, the project team has received funding to advance a separate safety project that focuses only on improving driving safety at the Egan-Yandukin intersection. This project will be designed in 2021 and potentially constructed in 2022. Later in this presentation, we will review this safety project and show how it could be modified to meet additional needs for the Egan-Yandukin Intersection Improvements Project. At the project's last public meeting at the Nugget Mall in November 2019, we presented traffic and accident data. People shared concerns related to the intersection operations, safety, and accessibility. These perspectives helped the project team refine the project purpose and needs statement. The project team also held an online open house and a comment period ending in late December 2019 to ask people what they thought about the intersection. We received lots of ideas and suggestions, including many different design suggestions. These were used in the development of design alternatives. The project team has continued to meet with the project's community focus group and agency group to develop draft alternatives, outline draft screening methods, and conduct early screening on the draft alternatives. The public, the community focus group, and the agency group have all agreed that safety at the Egan-Yandukin intersection is the #1 concern. Here are some crash statistics for the intersection. The frequency of crashes at the intersection has risen in recent years. The intersection now has the 3rd highest number of crashes in the Juneau area, with 31 crashes over a 5-year period. There are no fatalities associated with traffic accidents at this intersection. Left-turn crashes from Egan Drive are the predominant crash type of concern. Crashes are more likely when roads are icy, snowy, or wet, particularly in November through January. Crashes are more likely during rush hour, especially when these conditions occur during periods of darkness. Public comments made it clear that the project's primary purpose and need is to improve intersection safety for all users at the intersection. Secondary project needs are to provide alternate driving routes when Egan Drive is blocked, improve non-motorized access for people walking, cycling, or using any other active transportation mode, and maintain traffic capacity and flow. Additional project goals were also identified. To be consistent with approved land use plans and ordinances, maintain or improve access to and visibility of businesses in the area, and to support opportunities for economic development and future land uses. There are a lot of good ideas on how to improve the intersection. Getting to a few of the best ideas will take several steps. The process DOT and PF is using first identifies the purpose and need for the project. The next step is to develop a range of alternatives that meet that project purpose and need. The final step is to evaluate the alternatives. 2 screening levels will be used during that evaluation to explore the benefits and impacts of each alternative. The top 5 draft alternatives that come out from the first level of screening will be evaluated during a second level of screening, designed to more finely screen the range of alternatives. The alternative or set of alternatives that rank highest from both rounds of screening will be recommended for further action. Public feedback offered many ideas of ways to improve the intersection, including building an overpass, adding a stoplight, and eliminating left turns. Using these suggestions, along with a variety of additional engineering concepts, 15 draft alternatives were developed that could improve the intersection to meet the project purpose and needs. All of these alternatives are drafts for your review and comments. Each of the 15 draft alternatives will get reviewed using draft level 1 screening criteria. These draft criteria will score the alternatives based on how well they meet the project purpose and need, as well as other considerations. Safety metrics are proposed to get greater weight in the evaluation of draft alternatives. These safety metrics are crash frequency, crash severity, and safety for bicyclists and pedestrians. The crash delay secondary metric would show how well each of the draft alternatives provides an alternative driving route when Egan Drive is blocked in the case of crashes. The accessibility comfort secondary metric would measure how easily non-motorized users can cross Egan Drive. Other metrics will evaluate how well the draft alternatives would address social and economic considerations and other project goals. These other metrics include consistency with land use plans, impacts to business visibility and access, wetlands impacts, impacts to protected lands and private property, traffic delay, and cost range. Since these are in draft form, your comments on the criteria are valuable. All 15 alternatives were evaluated and scored using the draft level 1 screening criteria. Based on results of that, 5 of the draft alternatives are suggested to get more in-depth review. The remaining 10 other alternatives are recommended to not progress into further analysis because they did not meet the project screening criteria as well as the top 5 did. Each of the draft alternatives and their draft screening results are available for you to review on the online open house, which is linked from the project website at www.dot.alaska.gov/EGANYANDUKIN. That's www.alaska.gov/Egan. Now, Jeannie will describe the 5 alternatives that look the most viable. The rest of the alternatives and more information can be found at the online open house website.
This alternative is the HSIP Interim Action Alternative, which we've labeled INT1, ELE4, ELE7. At the same time that we have been working through the process of developing long-term improvements for this intersection, DOT and PF has been pursuing a near-term, lower-cost project that can reduce the number and likelihood of serious crashes at the intersection. The proposed safety improvement project has competed with other safety improvements throughout the state and has received Highway Safety Improvement Program, or HSIP, funding. DOT and PF's new HSIP project will aim for construction in 2022. What we are showing you on the screen right now is the interim alternative that was submitted for safety funding, plus additional elements to meet the other identified project needs. Note that all of the purpose and need elements have been addressed. Safety improvements, alternative driving routes when there's a crash, and non-motorized access. Now I will describe the elements of this alternative. This alternative has 3 parts that are focused on decreasing crashes. There is the offset northbound right turn lane. We heard people say that when they're turning southbound left, they can't tell the difference between through vehicles and right turn vehicles. By offsetting the northbound right turn lane, drivers will be able to tell the difference between through and right turn vehicles. We are also including median pavement markings to help left turn drivers line up with the roadway they are entering and to reduce the distance to cross. Finally, as part of the safety improvements, we are proposing a speed reduction in winter, that's in November, December, and January, which is the period we have found the most crashes happen. We know that people don't drive more slowly just because of a speed limit sign. However, we know that this community is very interested in improving the safety of this intersection. Our alternative includes an education campaign to help drivers understand how driving more slowly in this area will increase safety. We are proposing to have overhead signs that remind drivers to slow down in this area to increase safety. We are proposing to use speed feedback signs that tell drivers what their speed is so that they will be reminded to think about their speed and slow down. As part of the HSIP safety project implementation, we will also be coordinating with local law enforcement. The elements I've just described are all part of the HSIP safety project. However, this HSIP safety project does not take the place of a larger project because it only meets one of the project's needs, which is safety. This improvement doesn't address the need to improve pedestrian crossings and to provide alternate driving routes when there are accidents on Egan. The Egan Yandukin project team has therefore added additional improvements to the HSIP safety project to better meet the overall project needs. Recommended elements to meet the additional needs include: we have included median crossovers to meet the need for alternate driving routes during a crash, and we have included a pedestrian connection, which is a tunnel or an overpass, to allow pedestrians and bicyclists to cross the highway without interacting with high-speed Egan Drive traffic. Let me explain how the median crossover treatment would work. For the median crossover treatment, we would build pavement in the median that could be used to keep traffic moving when lanes are closed because of a crash. For example, if a crash closes the highway just at Yandukin Glacier Lemon Road so that no one can go outbound towards Mendenhall Valley, then traffic cones will be placed, allowing vehicles coming from downtown to cross the median and use one lane to travel outbound. When outbound traffic reaches the second median crossover point, they will return to the outbound side of the road. Vehicles headed downtown will use the other lane to travel inbound. Median crossovers provide a low-cost way to keep traffic moving when there is a crash. Now let's look at the preliminary screening results. As you can see, all of the baseline purpose and needs have been met with this alternative. Therefore, everything at the top is green. Now let's look at the other considerations. One thing that's important to note with this alternative is that none of these show red, which means that they're all the same as or improved from the existing condition. This alternative meets the needs as much as possible without negatively affecting the environment, with minimal need for right-of-way and at medium cost. According to the evaluation with these draft Level 1 screening criteria, the project team proposes moving this alternative forward along with other alternatives for the Level 2 screening. Components of this alternative that will receive further review include the HSIP-funded safety project, as well as the elements to improve pedestrian access and to develop alternate routes in case of a crash. This alternative is the partial access signalized intersection, which we have labeled INT2. This alternative builds a signal at the Yandukin Glacier Lemon Road intersection without any other changes. You still cannot cross Egan from one side to the other, and you still can't turn left from Yandukin or Glacier Lemon. By installing signal control, we reduce left turn crashes, which is the common crash type that causes delay and injury at this intersection. We are also including median crossovers to allow traffic to keep moving when a crash closes lanes, and pedestrians will cross at the signal, just like at the Glacier Nugget intersection. So we have met all of the needs that we have identified for this project. There are safety improvements, alternative driving routes, and non-motorized access. Now I will describe the median crossover treatment. The median crossover builds pavement in the median that can be used to keep traffic moving when lanes are closed because of a crash. So, for example, if a crash closes the highway at the Yandukin Glacier Lemon Road intersection so that no one can go outbound towards Mendenhall Valley, traffic cones are placed, allowing vehicles coming from downtown are closed because of a crash. So, for example, if a crash closes the highway at the Yandukin Glacier Lemon Road intersection so that no one can go outbound towards Mendenhall Valley, traffic cones are placed, allowing vehicles coming from downtown to cross the median and use one lane to travel outbound, while vehicles heading downtown use the other lane to travel inbound. When outbound traffic reaches the second median crossover point, they return to the outbound side of the road. This provides a low-cost way to keep traffic moving when there is a crash. Now let's look at the screening results. As I described before, this alternative meets all of the identified needs for this project. So All of the needs under baseline purpose and need metrics at the top are green. Now let's look at the other considerations. Looking at the right-of-way cell, which is green, this alternative can be built without needing any additional right-of-way. And then right underneath it, peak hour delay. Adding a signal means that some traffic that is not currently stopping will stop at this intersection. So more delay means the delay is red. Using the draft screening measures, this alternative is proposed for further review. This alternative is the full access signalized intersection, which we've labeled INT3 ELE4. This alternative builds a signal at the Yandukin Glacier Lemon Road intersection and allows all movements at the intersection. So you can cross from Yandukin to Glacier Lemon, and you can turn left from Yandukin or Glacier onto Egan. This alternative meets all of the baseline purpose and need elements. Safety improvements, alternative driving routes when there is a crash, and non-motorized access. By adding the signal control, we reduce left turn crashes, which is the common crash type that causes delay and injury at this intersection. We've added median crossovers to allow traffic to keep moving when a crash closes lanes, and pedestrians will cross at the signal, just like at the Glacier Nugget intersection. Now I will describe how the median crossovers work. For the median crossovers, we will build pavement in the median that can be used to keep traffic moving when lanes are closed because of a crash. For example, if a crash closes the highway at the Yandukin Glacier Lemon Road so that no one can go outbound towards Mendenhall Valley, then traffic cones are placed, allowing vehicles coming from downtown to cross the median and use one lane to travel outbound. When the outbound traffic reaches the second median crossover point, they return to the outbound side of the road. Vehicles heading downtown will use the other lane to travel inbound. This provides a low-cost way to keep traffic moving when there is a crash. Let's look at the preliminary screening results. As you can see, this alternative meets all of the baseline purpose and need metrics. So all of the cells at the top are green. Looking at business access, this alternative will provide more access to businesses because of new movements allowed at the intersection. So it is green. Looking at right-of-way impact, this alternative needs minimal right-of-way so that the approaches can be lined up for left turns and for through movements on the Yandukin side. So this is white. Looking at peak hour delay, adding a signal means that some traffic that is not currently stopping will have to stop. So delay is red. Using these draft screening measures, this alternative is proposed for further review. This alternative is the two signalized T intersections, which we have labeled INT6. This meets all of the purpose and need elements. It has safety improvements, alternate driving routes when there's a crash, and non-motorized access. Now I'll explain how this alternative works. This alternative separates Yandukin Drive and the Glacier Lemon Road intersections and signalizes both of these intersections. The signal control reduces left turn crashes which is the common crash type that causes delay and injury at this intersection. By moving the Yandukin leg towards downtown, it moves it away from the curve between Yandukin and Glacier Nugget, reducing left turn crashes for vehicles heading to the airport. This alternative also allows traffic to keep moving when a crash closes lanes. For example, if there is a crash outbound between these two intersections, vehicles driving from downtown will be able to turn at the first intersection and use side streets to keep moving after a crash. Vehicles coming from Mendenhall will be able to turn left onto Glacier Lemon, or will be able to enter the highway from Yandukin. We've met the non-motorized access because pedestrians will be able to cross at the signal, just like at the Glacier Nugget intersection. Now let's look at the preliminary screening results. As you can see, this alternative meets all of the identified baseline purpose and need metrics. So everything at the top is green. Looking at the other considerations, let's look at business access. This alternative provides more access to businesses because of new movements that are allowed at the intersection. So this is green. Looking at right-of-way, this alternative needs substantial right-of-way because moving Yandukin away from the curve towards downtown will require right-of-way. Therefore, this is red. Looking at peak hour delay, having a signal means that some traffic that is not currently stopping will have to stop. So delay is red. Based on these preliminary screening measures, this alternative is proposed for further review. This alternative is the Diamond Interchange or overpass at the Egan-Yandukin intersection, OVP2 ELE 5. This alternative meets all of the baseline purpose and need metrics. There are safety improvements, there are alternate driving routes when there's a crash, and there is improved non-motorized access. Now I will explain what the alternative does. This alternative will build an interchange or overpass at the Yandukin Glacier Lemon intersection, similar to the interchange at Sunny Point. This will allow all movements at the Yandukin Glacier Lemon intersection. This alternative also extends Glacier Lemon Spur to the Glacier Nugget intersection. Crashes will be reduced with this alternative because the Egan Drive traffic will be carried over the turning traffic on a bridge. This alternative builds a new route connection, which will allow traffic to keep moving when a crash closes Egan Drive. And pedestrians and bikes will be able to cross under Egan, improving non-motorized access. Now let's look at the preliminary screening results. This alternative meets all of the baseline purpose and need metrics. So everything at the top is green. Now let's look at the other consideration metrics. Under land use plans, this alternative is consistent with land use plans, which advocate for the extension of Glacier Lemon Spur to the glacier nugget signal, so this is green. Under business visibility, barriers associated with the overpass will reduce the visibility of business signs, so this is red. Under business access, this alternative provides more access to businesses because of new movements allowed at the intersection and the extension of the road to Glacier Nugget, so it is green. Under wetland permit, this alternative likely impacts small sections of wetlands because of the extension of Glacier Lemon Spur to Nugget, so this is red. Under protected lands, all alternatives do not appear to affect parkland, historic properties, or recreation resources, though all alternatives mark this green. Under right-of-way impacts, substantial right-of-way is needed both because of the size of the interchange and because of the extension of Glacier Lemon, so this is red. Your peak hour delay. This alternative will overall reduce delay because all through traffic continues not to stop at Yandukin Glacier Lemon, and left turns will not have to wait for through traffic, so this is green. Under cost range, this is a high cost alternative, so it is marked red. Based on the draft screening measures, this alternative is proposed for further review.
Each of the 5 draft alternatives that were just shared will get further analysis. These alternatives will be ranked against each other in Level 2 screening, and the top scoring alternatives will be recommended for future project development. Level 2 screening criteria are in draft form for your review. Some of the same metrics from the first level of screening appear in the draft Level 2 screening criteria. These criteria take a more numbers-based approach to evaluate the alternate draft form for your review. Some of the same metrics from the first level of screening appear in the draft Level 2 screening criteria. These criteria take a more numbers-based approach to evaluate the alternatives using modeling, engineering, and more refined measurements of impacts. The primary safety-related Level 2 screening criteria are crash frequency, crash severity, and safety for bicyclists and pedestrians. Secondary Level 2 screening criteria address reliability of alternate driving routes and the time it takes for pedestrians and bicyclists to travel through the area. Other draft metrics dealing with social and economic considerations in Level 2 screening include transit routes, bus stops, and route timing, consistency with local planning efforts, impacts to business visibility and access, private land, stormwater, fish habitat, historic properties, and air quality, and estimated cost of the alternative. These Level 2 screening criteria are in draft form for your review and comment. So, your comments are valuable to the project team. We appreciate your participation and we value your thoughts, ideas, and suggestions on anything you saw here, especially on the draft range of alternatives, the draft Level 1 and Level 2 screening criteria, and the draft Level 1 screening results. Please submit your comments now or through the comment period that closes on November 12th. So, you can chat into today's meeting website, leave a phone message. You can call toll-free 855-925-2801, code 9191. You can also text Egan 1, EGAN1 to the number 73224. You can also email us at egan1@publicinput.com. Text telephone is also available at 907-770-8973. The online open house linked at the project webpage will contain this pre-recorded presentation as well as information about the project and ways to comment.